Hello everybody, welcome back. This is Space Engineers No Jetpack Survival. I am Prime, and yeah, we're going to continue building our ship today. We've just got the fieldwork update. I think that's 1.206. Got it installed, bought it. We have to. We've got to show you stuff. So over the course of building this ship, we're going to actually start using some of these blocks. Not entirely certain about all of them. If you want a rundown of what the fieldwork update has, I'm not going to go and do that whole laying these things out and doing that. Zero's done one, and I'm sure a bunch of the other big YouTubers have done one of these reviews. I'm not going to go repeating the same stuff, so we're just going to see how we can integrate it into the ship. But one of the things I am excited about would basically be the circular corridor blocks to these. There's even one that transitions to a square block, which is perfect. So I think we're going to go with round corridors. I also promised a little bit of a rundown on how things like, you know, the event controller and timers and stuff work on this sort of a build. So at some point, we're going to give a very detailed explanation of how like event controllers and such work, especially in this sort of context of what we're doing here. Right, so now the intro's out of the way, where are we going to go from here? So we've done our first bit. We've got our sort of connectable connector thing. We've got the initial sort of belly of the center of the ship sort of in. I don't really want to keep going up, because if we keep going up at that route, we're just going to be like really high at the end. I think the next thing we need to really think about is how we're going to get in and out of the ship. So at some point here, I'm assuming that that's going to be the back and this is going to be the front. Maybe we make that the back because there's less room there. This can be the front. I don't know. Which way around do we make this thing? Yeah, I think that's the back. This is the front. That's for certain. Okay, so somewhere on the ship we're going to need some way to get in. Now, bear in mind, we do not have a jetpack in this build, in this game scenario, so we can't just like X and fly up. You know, I just pressed X, nothing happens. It's grayed out on my bar, so we have to be able to walk everywhere, which is why we got little ramps like this dotted around. This is just our way of being able to get up to build this thing. We can't have a permanent rank like that sticking around. It's just going to get snapped off at some point and look really ugly. So we need to have something that moves. We don't have the helpful mods like the ramp block installed, so we're not using that. Everything we've got to do ourselves. We've got to also consider the amount of space it takes to build something like an elevator or a little ramp, and the possibility for clang, because any moving parts, if they're not locked down decently when they're not in use, I mean, with the exception of this thing, I mean, this just goes up and down and it's quite small. There's not a lot of mass attached to it, so it shouldn't be a big problem. But with something as big as like a ramp, if we're not careful, it could turn into something that sort of makes the ship drift a lot, and yeah, it's just generally an issue in space. So let's have a little think about how we're going to do this. Okay, so thinking about it, well, I mean, we can get in from the back. That would leave us quite a bit of a distance to get through to where the bridge is going to be, which is usually kind of front, top, middle-ish. We could put it back here. Have a look. So coming into here, I don't think this is a good first room because it's like wide open. Although for the sake of like onboarding, if we're going from space to here, it's already, well, we're going from like space to a place that's open to space. It's not the end of the world. And from the ground to here, again, it's not a problem. I mean, it's kind of like an extension of wherever we were before. Except we'll have airlocks on here somewhere so that you can get from this to the pressurized portion of the ship. So this actually, if we put some sort of a railing or something around here to stop people falling in, I think that should be the first thing we do, because it's me anyway. So let's consider some kind of a railing system, just so that we can make it safe. Right, okay, that's more than enough railing parts. Let's see how we go. So I kind of want to make it so that it's not going to get in the way of that. Right, let's start with the junctions here, because we might want a sideways entrance here. Let's see what we've got here that can give us... I think it's a one-sided railing we need at this point. Oh, do you know what? Here, if we did it here, we could actually just use the halfway railing. That goes quite well. These little half railings, yeah. Oh, actually, yeah, if I do that, do this on both sides. Good thing about halves is you don't have to flip them round. And we're getting sidetracked already, but do that. Why doesn't it work on that side though? Oh, because it's like one of those weird ones. We need there's another one. That's it. Okay, and that clearly won't work there, but it will work on this side. Oh, come on, don't do that. Right. And the one before it will work on this side. Yeah. Okay. So rather than getting all in the way and stuff, we just literally skirt the edge of the space that we don't want people to walk. Still grants me access to repair and stuff. Now we could potentially have turned the connector into an elevator by giving a little bit more room around it and attaching some sort of like a thingy block to it, like a corridor block or something. Problem with that is, if you want someone to come in, you have to disconnect the ship, so it's not really that practical. Now that we've got a safe way in and there's no chance of people falling out of the ship, if, you know, say we're having a party or something, everybody's drunk and they're all coming in, they are not, well, unless they fall over a railing and that's their own fault, they are not going to fall out of the ship. Right, so here we need to think about how we're going to actually put some sort of an elevator lifty thing in here. A similar sort of structure to that would probably do the job. We could go subgrid small pistons. How would we transition to a subgrid without causing ourselves loads of weirdness and problems though? Because that's a subgrid at that point. Not the most clever idea, I don't think. Maybe not. Okay, we could continue across here. Let's see, what sort of space have we got? That piston will reach the floor. So another one at the same level would also reach the floor. So if I take off, I'm not going to get up there in a hurry. I kind of need to get up to there. I also need the right kind of blocks to get up there with. There's going to be a lot of kind of, I'm thinking moments. Obviously. So it's not going to be sort of like super dynamic and all kind of pro YouTube-y, you know, not really. I'm building something live, well, as live as it needs to be. Okay, good, we've not cut that off. We can't do that on both sides, it would be absolutely tragic. So this is the point where I need my beam block again, and we just want, well, one of the same as that one, really. Straight ordinary beam block. Yes, boom. Okay, so we're going to bring this over. Can I jump up onto that? Yes, I can. We're gonna have to get these corner blocks at some point. How far over do we go? I think possibly one more at least before we put something to attach this thing to. Right, yeah, there. And then this piston doesn't need to actually have attachments to inventory or anything, so I think we could just do something like that. Make it like a crane. I think that would do the job quite well. I'm not certain if... Yeah, I think a piston might just fit straight onto the end of that. Flip you over. Yeah, I think it has to be a big one, because if I'm going to put a little piston on there, or a couple of little... It'd have to be a few little pistons, actually. You're going to end up with a wibbly sub-grid sort of situation. Not really what I would like to be sort of doing. All the way around. Ah. Right. Ooh, I actually was able to reach that. Got no clue how I'm going to reach everything. Ow. I'm going to reach everything else. Nope. Okay, I need to really stop doing that. Okay, so this little shenanigan here has served its purpose. We need to get out a little further and find a way up to there, so I don't really want to go building a random block. Oh no, I don't want that. Yeah, I don't really want to go building blocks like really close to this piston because it might start to like freak out a little bit. So I just want to get a little bit closer to where I need to be. Oh. That clearly don't work. We'll go up. Yeah, oh, this is a problem with half blocks. We'll go up that way. Yeah. Come on, can I get... Oh, I just need to get one over. But I don't particularly want to be touching that piston with it. That's done. Right. Take them to come round. Now, this is going to be a much more simple construction because all it has to have is a button somewhere. Oh, ah! That hurt. All it needs to have is a little button somewhere that you can sort of click to make it go up and make it go down again. Nothing more than that. But we're not elevating like multiple levels here. We just want to get in the ship and we can use stairs to get the rest of the way. Okay. Don't need you. Don't really need you. Don't need you yet. While I'm up here. Get these blocks that were missed. Typical. Okay, I am going to need a few of these anyway. Right. Which one was it? Oh, I have to do this whole rigmarole again. Okay, tiny little squeal for me there. Right, so now we've got that. We're eventually not going to need those, otherwise we've failed anyway. I need to name that piston. Aha. That's a problem. Yeah, I can't reach it. We have to try and access it through here and see what it is. piston. What's the latest piston that I've made? Oh, good lord. It could be piston 4 because it's not named. I'm going to guess it's piston 4. What we'll do to test it, I'm going to set the maximum distance to like 2 meters and a bit, just so I can get down to reach it. We're going to reverse it. It's piston 4. Nice. Okay. Good. Piston 4. We're still calling this big ship. I mean, as it starts to take some sort of shape, we might start thinking of some names. So as we're going, when we start seeing enough ship to actually think it may have some sort of character, be suggesting names, because I might, you know, see something I like and decide to use that. Otherwise, I'm just going to sort of come up with a name myself, but I would like to see what you guys think. So big ship, elevator piston, might be a bit reductive in case we want another, but I think, yeah, elevator piston. I think we'll only have one elevator piston on this ship. We want to ideally, you don't want to put too many moving parts on these ships, just because it can cause some bother. What we need to do is we need to put some kind of a like housing on that can get us into the ship. Now, when that's fully retracted, you're not far off this block here, but we could sort of slope in and round if we have to. This space here has to be kept empty though, so wherever we use to sort of get in, it's going to have to come pretty close to that, but at the same time it can't sort of get in the way, stop it from moving. So we might need some kind of retracty bits somewhere. It might mean shaving off some of this floor potentially to make this work, but yeah, okay. So I'm going to do something similar to what we did in the elevator down in there. In fact, actually, I'm going to need some energy. I need a heal, so we're going to go and have a look. I have a feeling I've already removed it, but just going there might jog our memory a little bit. It was something we used when we constructed this thing. So, well, first thing we need to do is go get some energy and health. Oops, being a bit funny. There we go. Right. So, if we go down another floor. Or 2 to the bottom. When we were down here originally, we had to use like a little piston thing to get down here, and we were all the way down at the bottom here somewhere while we were building this, and what we did is we attached, you see that, for those that forgot, see how far the basement goes down just to drive this. This is why if you want to have like a large elevator, like a subterranean elevator, or even like above ground one, you have to have basically a mirror, almost a mirror of the same distance underneath, just to house the pistons. So yeah. Oh, jeez, nearly fell off. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be a full mirror. It has to be like the distance of the pistons all compressed, essentially. Right, let's go back up. So what we did is we put like a corridor block attached to the end of a piston, and the corridor block with a sort of a base on the bottom of it gave us a perfect thing to get into. We could do something similar or use a door system like this. Oh geez, I just decompressed an area. It's fine, oxygen's free on per time. There is oxygen, it's just too low to... You can breathe it, just not when there's a storm. We're fine. Right. Let's see. So what can we put on the bottom of here? What have we got now that works? Let's check door blocks first. So there are these. That is not actually a bad option because it takes up the whole space. It's quite flush. and we could just slap something on the back of it to make it a little more airtight. Could be kind of cool. We could use it to imprison people. I don't know. Although if you do put something on the back of that, it's either going to have to come really flush with this wall, or it's going to have to leave a gap because it will take up a space. But we might have that problem no matter what we put on here. Alternatively, let's see. There's these little things. These aren't bad actually, with the little sort of the mini things. It's good for one person though, so maybe not. Oh, we got our new little doors. Oh, that's the kind of door we could put on the other side of it. Which makes me think corridor blocks. If we use corridor blocks, what do we have? I don't know why they always turn over. Can't it stay the right way up? Something like that. Got grab rails. I want one with windows though. Junction passage windowed. So maybe something like that. Interior plate needed. Let's try that. Okay. And then on each side of that, we are going to need... So we're going to leave some plenty of space around it, I think. And we're going to just bring in a floor under it somehow. I have ideas. I have no idea if they're going to work. Back to the door blocks, because we have to put doors on this either way, I think. But it's a good option for these lab doors, I think. Which way's the right way up with the lab doors? Oh, they're kind of universal. Oh, no, they go that way because of that little triangular sticker on the top, which is now upside down. Yeah. I need a girder to build the door. Okay, let's just get it on this side first. And we're going to put one on the other side as well. It might not... Oh, it will go. Okay. Right, so now we got like 5 out of the 6 sides of this cube in place. Right, so let's see. Let's empty this out. We're going to take the materials for you, and the materials for you. It's got to look good. That's part of the thing. Now I'm hoping with that over the passage block that this bit here in the corner doesn't become a major problem with getting in and out. We're going to find out shortly. Because, like... Can I open a door from here? Yeah, we'll see if it's possible to get over that. Otherwise, we might need to replace this slot with something a bit more bespoke. But I quite like this if it works. I'm not sure these were actually intended to be used this way. It would have been better maybe if we had one with a center piece on it. I really do hope this works, otherwise we're going to have to find a different sort of outer holder block for it. Bottom, it needs a floor, so it just needs to be one of these. What? I didn't get enough materials for that? Things are being a bit funny at the moment. Okay. Et voila. Now, this is going to need a similar sort of thing to stop it from just grinding its way to the floor and smashing that up. So we can't just set a maximum distance on this piston because the piston doesn't know where the ground is. It would know where the ground is in an ideal situation where... What's that? Oh, no, it's fine. In an ideal situation where we've landed perfectly flat, connected completely perfectly flat, and everything's like perfect. But if we'd lost the landing gear, landed a little bit wonky maybe, didn't have the fuel to get straight again, and we needed to use the lift, elevator, whatever you want to call it, we've got a bit of a problem then. So this needs to come down exactly to where the floor is, so we can at least, at the very least, jump in. Which might be difficult with that corner. We're gonna have to see. I don't know. So this needs a sensor. Now, luckily, this block here on the side, on either side here, should be attachment point. Should be fine. Or we may have to find another place to put the sensor somewhere. Somehow. Sensor. It would be kind of cool if we were scripting, because if we were scripting, what we could then do is like have the sensor somewhere near it on the ship, like even on the top of the piston, which doesn't move, which then sort of reads how far the ground is from it, you know, a camera or something, which then tells it when to stop by setting the piston max length. But you're just getting really complicated at that point for no reason whatsoever. Okay, so that's a bit... Oh god, sandstorm. Okay, it's a little bit annoying that it's going to cover a window, but honestly we don't really have a choice here. I'm gonna get in and see what this sandstorm's turning into. If it is just a storm, we're fine, but... Getting a little bit of twitchiness on this since the update. The whole physics thing, I think they maybe have done some... Oh, it's just a sandstorm. They may have done a little bit of stuff on it. But while I'm here... It's a perfect opportunity for me to go over event controller stuff. So exactly how these work, because we did have a request for event controller. Event. So I'll start with this one, big ship event. So this is the interface for the event controller. Quite straightforward. But what we're doing here is we've got a condition here. So all an event controller does is waits for a condition to become true, and for a condition that was true to suddenly become false. So the condition in this case is the connector is ready to connect. That's the condition. If it's true, if the connector is ready to connect, it will do the thing you ask it to do. If the connector was ready to connect and then suddenly becomes not ready to connect and is idle, it will do the other thing. But only at the point where that condition changes, not after, not during or anything like that. At the point where the thing becomes true or then becomes not true, that's the point where the action happens. So yeah, there are other things. So things like altitude. When the altitude is greater than such a thing, do this. And then if the altitude suddenly becomes less than such a thing, do the other thing. And it'll only do it on crossing that boundary line that you set. Rotor and hinge angle, you can say, right, if this rotor or hinge hits 30 degrees or greater, do this thing. So maybe like extend this piston. But when the rotor becomes less than 30 degrees, do this other thing. So retract the piston. So then basically you can control this rotor or hinge, and at the boundary line where it takes about just over 30 towards 31 degrees, it'll extend the piston. And then when you reverse the rotor and it comes just 30 or under, it'll then retract the piston. So this is what the event controller does. It waits for a thing to become true, and then it'll do a thing. It's really that simple. So in this case, connector is ready and idle. So is it ready to connect? In other words, has it just got into range to connect to another connector? We're talking about the big ship connector, so selected blocks, which you pick from here. It tells you what this condition relates to. So what are you looking for this to happen on? So big ship connector becomes ready to connect, and at that point, it will do the things you set in the select action. So in this case, it locks. If I put something in the second bar, in this X, this is new, by the way, this is part of the new updates. Slot 1 when ready, slot 2 when not ready. I've got this information here from the mod that I've got on, but now it's also available for people that don't have it, because you'll have a tick here and a cross here, and it will tell you. So this is kind of new. This is my old info, so I don't really need this anymore, but I need it for other things. So you'll see this slot 1 when the connector is ready to connect, do that. when the connector is not ready to connect. So once it was ready, but now it's suddenly not, at that point it will do this thing. I've not put anything in there because I don't want it to do a thing at that point. And then if you want it to do another thing at the same time as well, you can go into bar 2, so control and 2, and you've got another thing it can do. So it's going to connect, but it's also going to toggle the piston off. If I wanted another thing, I could put it in there and there, and all 10 of these slots can have a thing that happens when the connector becomes ready to connect, or 10 things that happen when the connector suddenly is no longer ready to connect. It sounds a bit complicated, but use it a bit, you know, really read these events and you'll kind of get an idea of the things that the event controller can actually do. And they are quite clear. So, natural gravity changed. If the gravity changes from what it is now, i.e. we've gone up into a lower gravity or down into higher gravity, do a thing. So within that you'll have some settings. So some of them, I mean this one here, the ready and idle, is just a single condition. You just select that and there's nothing else to think about. But on some of them, like for example, let's see what this one is. Cargo filled percentage. So it asks for a second part of the condition because it needs to know a bit more about it. So when my cargo containers are greater than or equal to 80.8%, it's just I just dragged the slider and got to that, then do the thing. If they suddenly become less than 80.8%, it'll do the other thing. I'm asking it to look at all of these cargo containers, and there's an AND gate in place that says basically all of them have to be doing this thing, otherwise it can't be true. The AND gate just changes basically the way it looks at multiple blocks. So you can either have it so that if any of the blocks becomes true, do the thing. Or you can have a gate in there that says all of them must meet this condition before it'll do the thing. So at the moment, we've got some cargo containers here that are a bit fuller. So like this one, large cargo ores ingots, 86.2%. That one has not come below the 80% rule. So this is still true. So my drills are currently still turned off. The second that comes down below that, it potentially could actually start the drills up. The second one is less than equal to... Okay, so in this one I've only put event actions for one condition, what to do when the cargoes are too full. Because I don't want it suddenly going on, off, on, off, on, off as it goes up and above, you know, as it sort of moves around this threshold like up like that. See, if you put the conditions in both sides of this particular block, so okay, when it's greater than 80.8%, turn the drills off. When it's less than 80.8%, turn the drills on. What will happen is it'll fill up, it'll turn the drills off, you'll use a bit of the cargo, it'll get just below, it'll turn the drills back on, fill up immediately and turn itself back off again. You don't want the drills doing that. So what I've done is I've put the turn off rule at 80% here, not put anything in the action bar for when it's below, but I've put it on a second event controller that says when the threshold, when the cargo containers are less than 60%, turn the drills back on. So it has that 20% to play with. I might actually lower that a little bit more. This has got the AND gate on it as well. What I'm going to do, I'm going to turn the AND gate off, and it should turn all the drills on. So when I leave here, theoretically my drills should be on. There's a window there. That was stupid. I'm like that dog that runs into the patio windows. Well, they're not on right now because it hasn't like crossed the threshold. So at this point, when another cargo container gets down below that threshold, it will actually turn the drills on. That's the thing you see about the event controller. It can only trigger when a threshold is crossed. If you already crossed the threshold, when you turn the whole thing on, it's not going to do anything. I hope that goes some way to explaining what event controllers do. Timer blocks do basically the same thing in some way. You have a series of like 10 different bars full of actions you can fill up, and it'll do all of the actions across all of the spots in all of the bars when the timer hits 0. If on one of those timer like sort of action bars, let me get a timer up so I can show you. Timer. So in the timer you have a delay, so 1 minute 15 seconds. You can make it tick, you make noise or not when it's getting close to countdown. You can have set up actions, and you've got all these things in here 10 times over, and it will do all of them sort of in order immediately as soon as the timer hits 0. If in one of these blocks you put another timer start command, then what will happen is your timer will do its thing after it's gone through its delay. Then it will start the next timer, which will go through its delay and do its thing, and you can sort of chain timing events up or have a loop that goes around. If you have the second timer turn the first timer on, or if you have the first timer start itself again, you can put itself in its own block so it can start itself up again. It will do the thing repeatedly each time using the delay. If instead of start you choose trigger now, it will ignore the delay and just go bam, start. So I tend to use timers as like a multi-trigger. If you want to make multiple things happen with a button press, make the button make a timer trigger now and just have the timer just do all the things at once. So you can use it as kind of like a relay. Okay, so I have my sensor on here that's currently doing things, so we need to set that up. Info, sensors field range. Let's put you on the HUD. Now that's the range for this sensor. It's a bit too massive. We need to be a bit more sensible with this. We're not telling it to do anything yet. Sensors, again, the action bar on a sensor is very much the same. You have a true and a false condition. Is something detected in its range, or has something just left the range? Again, it's that same sort of thing where the condition has to pass a threshold. Something has to just have come into detection range or has just left. So for example, when I leave this detection range, it just did a thing. That turned red. As I come in, it beeps. At that second where it beeped and that went green, that's the point where it would do the thing to do when it's detecting something. So doing nothing, trigger one of the rules. Doing nothing, trigger the next rule. That's how the sensors work. So, right, let's shrink this range round a bit. Top extent. Okay, so it's upside down. Right, fine, whatever. That's okay. I'm not going to have this detect people. I only want this... Well, actually, no, I don't want it to detect people because that would break it. If it was detecting people, as soon as somebody steps into the lift, it would stop the piston immediately. It would be nice to have the sensor underneath in a way. I mean, it would be nice if you had one of these panels that has a sensor on it, so you could put them both on together at the same time, but we just don't have that. So, right, that's our sensor grid box. You can see it just sticks out just below. So that should be enough to tell the piston stop. As soon as you come in contact with something. So what we're going to do is we're going to access this. Nope. F. Nope. Come on. Yeah, there we are. Right. Big ship. Elevator. Sensor. Right. So set up actions. Oh, actually no, before we do the setup actions, we need to tell it what to detect. So we don't want to detect players. That's the one thing we do not want to detect. Subgrids, asteroids, yes. Small grid, yes. Floating, yes. Players, no. There we go. Okay, and we don't want the proximity alert. Don't need it. So we don't need that beep. Right, so set up actions. As you can see here, slot 1, trigger upon detection. So that's the point where we come into range of the sensor. And slot 2 is when we're no longer detecting something. So when something leaves that field range. So the first thing we need to do is say, right, piston, big ship, connector piston, big ship, elevator piston. So at this point, we are going to... I mean, we potentially could set velocity to 0. We'll do that. So we'll set velocity to 0. And then what we need to do is have the button, when we trigger a button... no! Yes, we could do that, and we can also tell it to reverse. Big ship elevator piston. Reverse. Yes. So that's all of those two things at the same time here. So when it comes down, it will get in close to the ground. It will set the velocity for the piston immediately to 0. It's not quite turning it off. And it will set it to reverse. So that when we go in and press the button, all we have to do then is set the velocity to something positive and turn the piston on. No. We don't want to have it reverse. Just thinking about this. If we told it to reverse, the problem then is when we're at the top and we want it to come back down, it's going to be a problem. Because every time, if every time you press the button to make the elevator go, it reverses, this reverse will get reversed, if you know what I mean. So we don't want that in there, so we want to remove that reverse from the toolbar and just have the velocity set. Perfect, that'll do. Right, so that's a good start. Now we need a button on this thing. This is where we start having problems. This is where like a small grid, subgrid thing would have been a little bit better. Because then you can have loads of things on this little space, like we kind of built our... Well, like we've done before. But then that means having like at least 2, maybe 3 pistons attached to this whole thing. It just gets a bit like unrigid. I can't quite access that from there, so I'm gonna see if I can... No. Get access to that so I can just go big elevator piston. I'm going to are we on? No. Oh, I'm going to maximum distance you just a bit, make sure it stops. Did it stop or did it just keep going? Sounds like it's still trying to go. Piston. Elevator piston. Big ship elevator. Let's just go big. Right, there we are. Big ship elevator. That's connector piston. Big ship elevator piston. There we are. What's your velocity set to? 0.05. Why are you still set to that? Why? It's not lifting the ship right now just simply because of like where we are. Now, can we get in? No, we can't. That doesn't work. Okay. Can't use these doors. Can we get in that side? Holy crap. Oh, this is bad. Run, 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 run. We've got to get inside quick. There is lightning. It's pretty close. Right, we're definitely safe here because we have ground above us. So it's not going to try and get me and break something above. Although we do have the restaurant up there, but Should be fine. It's an electric storm. We're going to sit down. We're going to wait this out for a bit. And I'll come back shortly.
Meteor storm inbound.
Oh, hell. Well, that was kind of a bit odd. We got an electric storm and a meteor storm at the same time. And then the electric storm just suddenly stopped. Really randomly. Bit odd. Nothing got... Well, we had a little bit of damage on a roof, I think. That's exactly what all of our decoys and stuff are for. They're for taking this damage so we don't have to. I don't think the storm even moved away. I mean, normally they would sort of pass by and move away, but I think the meteor storm kind of overrode it. And it went clear. Strange. I love how we can still see like the little asteroids. That's our ice asteroid, and that's our asteroid base asteroid right there. Because they're within 30 kilometers just, so... Right, let's try and figure this whole thing out here. So, we can get in, but we can't put a button on to go up. Maybe I can. Maybe I can. Might have to remove a couple of blocks over there, but how do we do it in a way that we can actually... I think I have to go up and reverse this thing, so... Oh, there's no control panels on this thing. That's part of the problem. That's a little problem. I think we have to take this whole thing off. See, I did tell you that there's going to be a lot of faffing about in trying to build on this. So we're going to put this on there. I'll figure out how it looks later. Right. Right, okay. So that kind of gives us a bit more space to work with here. I still want to go a little bit small grid with all of this, so at this point what we're going to do is put... I think a hinge might be the better looking way to do it. Fog. Marvellous. Oh no. We want a medium head on here. There we go. Come on. There we go. So that's how far we've got there so far. I don't really want it to come below this line anyway, so it doesn't matter that this slot's here. So now at this point, what can we place in there that works on a small grid? I think that would do quite well, but I think before we go into that route, we need to not shoot stuff. At least build off this a little bit, just to get something going. So, height-wise, what have we got to work with here? I could have moved it sideways and sort of built off to the side and had this slightly over offset. What sort of space do I want to be able to work around here? Let's build these out a little bit. Like kind of... I need more of these. Just for a minute, we're gonna just put something around that I can kind of figure out around. Just make sure it works within this space if we can. We could possibly go a little bit. Maybe we go a little bit narrower across here. Let's go halves. And the same on that side. Just for a minute. I mean, we could put like a little passage on there. Right. So it's got to fit through that. And not get in the way of everything. And I've still got to be able to get in it. The height of this, I can't really reduce it anymore. We could have put... Oh. Hang on. Can make more room. Lock it. Oh no. Where's that coming from? I just heard drone for... Oh, geez. Do you know what? That means they're going to send something out this way. You just get kind of near. It could be any of these.
Energy low.
It's more than likely the one that's closest by. That one. We've got low energy anyway, so we need to go in. I just want to see if we get a marker come up on one of these, like a flight marker. The radar drop pod incoming. I don't like the looks of that. Get ourselves out of the way. It's landed way out of the way, so... Well, they're going to be trying to get to me, but... Can't really do that. They're still trying to shoot the drop pod though. What pod's out of range? Nothing's still being fired at. Let's go up to 1 just to see what the damage report says. Piston. There's a damaged piston somewhere. Little drill. Okay, that's not good. Okay, something's still alive out there. We're gonna have to take it out. Probably gonna try shooting through this wall as soon as I get up to this level. This is really not what I need. There they are. Make sure. It's lootable. Right, okay. It was already dead. Just gotta make sure there's no more of these raiders knocking around here. Some scrap bits. Might be in the clear. But one of my little drill pistons is definitely, like, damaged. So which one is it? I think it's the one at the top. Has to be the one at the top. Yeah, typical. It's the one at the top. Okay. At some point, we're going to need to do some repair work on the here. So we'll probably print our little repair drone thing that we made. Well, not a drone, ship thing. At some point. But right now, there's nothing really stopping us continuing with this. The drone repair facility that called out like a little baby hasn't sent anything our way. Our turrets are doing a pretty decent job. We can carry on trying to build this. We're at about 1 hour 17 right now, plus a few distractions, so we're not going to go too much further than this. We're just going to sort of carry on this bit, and then we can see where we're going from there. So we're going to turn this off. We've got it locked. We've got a reasonable amount of braking torque in there. A monumental amount of braking torque, actually. But the idea is that will be sort of where the elevator will come off. Okay. Let's try not to do that. That's not a clever thing to do. Right, so that gives me many more options now. I can put some sort of blocks on here. We're going to have to kind of build at least a little bit across there. So give this as something to anchor to. Come on. Don't be a thing. This is quite frustrating. Aha. Yeah, that'll do. Right. We have a panel or something that we can start working with. Let's see. What can we build off that? How far down do we need to go with this? Actually, this is the fully retracted position, so we need to kind of line that up with the floor here. So we're going to just put a few more of these on. Just to get the right height. Small grid onto large grid is a little fiddly sometimes, but come on. But the beauty of this is we can put button panels on. We can do all sorts of stuff like that. Because it's a small grid. Is that far enough? It's quite close. I think that'd be enough once we get the floor on it. Oh, I have to go and heal myself because if I keep doing that, right now, I mean, if I got struck by lightning, I'd be instant killed because we don't have enough health to withstand it. So it's a miracle I've survived this long. Right. So yeah, there will have been a few little edits in this video. I mean, won't be any of the building process, but some of the just really annoying back and forth stuff I will try to cut out. And obviously there'll be that little drama bit that we had before. I'll have to do something interesting with that. Of course, you've already seen that, so you know if I was successful. Right. Okay, let's try not to keep falling off these things now. So I'm not pressing any directions, and yet I'm traveling. I'm only going up and down. It's a bit odd. Right. Okay, so we got our entire back, well, a portion of the back wall sort of welded here. So let's figure out how wide we can make this now. Or I think it doesn't matter if it sort of intersects a little bit. 5 is about the height of a large grid block. So that kind of works all right. Well, yeah, we can't put one there. Because obviously the hinge is in the way. That's fine. I'm all right with that. Let's weld these up because they're a bit harder to get to. So once I've put something in front of them. Right. Good. We can go one more without coming anywhere near this side wall. Yeah, I think that's about... Yeah, it's probably about as far as we dare go. So we can put one more... Oh, actually, no. We can go one more. To make it spacious. The beauty of it being on the hinge, though, is if we really need to, we could fold it out of the way. Now, what I can do is I can take out some of these blocks to put other things in if we need to. So, that should be fine. Right, underneath that, I'm going to need to put a floor. So we're going to have to build some sort of a floor space. That takes up a bit of that. Right, that should be fine. We could have offset it back a little bit, but we're not short of space. We can bring this way if we need to. So, let's get some of these on. Get the right kind. Shame we don't have any large panel blocks. I don't really want this super thick on the bottom because it's got to be easy to get into. Oh, but... No, it's fine. Sensors can go inside. Now I've got that on, I can go on the other side and start putting plate onto that. It's kind of like building my it's kind of like building my thing all over again. These are a nightmare, but they'll gain some structural integrity from the blocks we're going to place on top of them. Right, come on. If this is probably the worst part of building in Space Engineers, doing fiddly little small grid plate. We're probably going to skip to the end of this bit. I'm sure you've seen enough of my pain. Okay. For some reason this feels a bit twitchy to walk on because we haven't got any inertia tensors or anything, so... So we're definitely going to have to sort of like put that mode in. Looking at this, I think these end pieces are going to have to change. We need a bit more room, so I'm going to go out one more with one of these on each side, which means I need to take off that. Yeah, we just randomly placed that somewhere. That might have been why it's a bit twitchy, actually. Yeah, we'll figure that out later. Right. Now I can get on. And yeah, it's still a bit twitchy, but it's not quite as bad now. It needs a door. So we're going to have to place a door on here. I think we do it like that. Or do we do it sideways? Do we place doors on the sides? I think maybe we do that. Oh, this is... if we place a door on that side... Yeah, I need interior plate. Gotta go down. Right. We're gonna have to, right, next episode when we start this up again, we're gonna have to remember to turn on our inertia tensors in the settings, because when you've installed the fieldwork module, they're not going to be on. Right, actually no, I'm going to put the doors on the sides. Unable to place. Come on. Yeah, one. Come on, let's get you. Two. Yeah, there we go. Right, that means I need just a little bit more on this side now. So here, I could put some sort of window thing in here. Let's see. What have we got in the way of windows? Anything at all? Yeah. No. Well, there's no small grid version of that. We have these. Do we have them any larger? Nope. Gee, okay. Window. I need large window blocks. 3x3. Think you're the smallest ones I can use. So, right. Yeah, there we are. Right. But of course the well, that's a bit annoying. The anchor point on these windows is right in the middle. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we have to resort to plate. Oh, I'm moving without wanting to move because of the jiggling of this damn piston thing. This is why, unless you've got experimental mode on, you really don't want to be using subgrids on your big ships. Right, okay. Where the hell did that come from? 9, right. It's because of all the jiggling about. Come on, I want to put you on there. Yes. No. Wrong place. Come on, go there. Which one? There. No, there.
Energy low.
There. Yes. Okay. And my energy's low. Lovely. It's just what I always wanted. Come on. Come on. I need steel plate. I want to just do this bit before I've run out of energy completely. Come on. In you go. There you go. And one more on top, please. Oh, we'll put you on top after. Okay. 2. Right. Here we go. No, we want small grid one. No, I want a small grid. Can we get you on there? Yes. Come on. Go in that space. Yes. Right, and now I can put that in that space. Yes. Oh. Right. And you. 17 energies left. Come on. We can do it. We can build this last. Well, we still got to put a roof on it, but we could put these on. And there's a control panel on the inside. Wonderful. Right, now let's go down and get some energy. I need to put something with energy on it on this ship at some point. Just sit in a chair for a minute. Top up our energies. Even though, like, well, it's not so much external drama on this episode, but quite a lot of internal drama going on right here. Because it's frustrating building small grid, but it's the only way to get any kind of detail into an elevator without it taking an absolutely enormous amount of space. This is kind of where Space Engineers 2 is going to really excel. Just the whole, you know, being able to do this sort of thing natively without having to sort of think about grid size. Speaking of which, we are going to be getting back into it. We're just waiting for some more features, really. We do need more features before we can do too much more. Right. So that's everything except for a roof, which we are going to be putting on. So let's just get some blocks in here. Is that a full block width? Yeah, it is actually. So I can go full, 2, 3. It is a bit of a box. Oh, why can't I get this last? Oh, I can't get that one on. Right, never mind. We'll do that from the ground. Yeah, okay, as far as it goes. This elevator seriously has, like, major twitchy problems. But it does come quite close to where you need to go. You can't fall down that gap. It needs a button. So I need to, and I need a sensor in it. But I could put a sensor like really low down to the ground here. So let's see if, where did I put my sensor block? There it is, 4. Yeah, which way up was it supposed to go? Can't read that text. I feel like it's that way up. Right, we need to get materials to build this. I will eventually need a button panel. Okay, I've got a couple of these now. So might be enough to do everything else. Right, okay, so we're just going to pop a little sensor on the bottom there. Hope we've got it the right way around. Right, sensors in. Nice. Button panel. What have we got that works on a small grid here? You do. But also you. I kind of like you better. That's got all of them. There we go. Right. Okay. Let's find a button panel that works on smalls. Right. Well, you work, but you're like huge. We could put one of you on. But you won't go in that space because, well, no, you're taking up the space on the floor actually. So, where'd it go? I guess there's no small grid version of it. Oh no, I've just lost the small gridness of this whole thing. Right. This is small grid. We need an interior plate to place it, but where do I place it? This is a question. Why has it disappeared? Why has it gone to that? Oh. There we go. I need it like that. Okay, right. Frustrations. I bet it's changed and it's, yeah, I've probably not even got the materials I want now because, come on, give me the one I want. There we go. Bang, there you go. This was thought through. Oh. No, it wasn't. Doesn't actually have a button you can press. That's no good. I just want one that's got a button that I can press. I don't want it to be a big fat ugly button. There you go. We can have an up button, a down button, and a stop button. Yes, you'll do nicely. Oh, we need to cure this elevator with its shakes for sure. Right, we need to put this on hard. We don't want it detecting people either, so to players off, right. Show on hard. Okay, there's our field ranges and stuff. Right, so let's go top extent. There we are. Yeah, that's good. Right. Back extent doesn't need any. Front extent. And if you notice, I'm sort of jiggling my way slowly off the elevator. That'll do. Left. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that'll do. Right, and our bottom extent doesn't need to be anywhere near 5 meters. In fact, I think these blocks are like 0.5 meters, so I think it just needs to be like 0.7 or 0.8 or something. That might just stick out the bottom. Oh, that's way too much. Right. Yeah, I think maybe that's close, but I think it'll do. Right. And all we want this to do is stop the piston. So actions. The piston needs a name again. We haven't got a name for the piston right now. Big ship. Elevator piston. Can't believe my pistons don't have shear inertia tensor. Be aware of that. When you install this, it will kill your shear inertia tensor on unless you actually re-enable it in your save before you start the game. Not clever, but right. Big elevator piston. When it's detected, turn block off. Do we want to toggle it off? Or do we want to just set velocity to 0? We'll just set velocity to 0. Confirm. Right. So piston velocity is set to 0 when it's detected. Now, being that this is a subgrid and everything, it should kind of work. Not 100% certain it will, but this button here is going to have to reverse it. Okay. Oh, okay. 3 buttons here. Which one's which? I guess it's like 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, it is. Right. So button 3 can go down. So piston. Actually, no, I'm just going to go big. Elevator piston. This is going to be to extend. Elevator piston. That's going to be retract. Oh, we're better off setting velocities actually. Yeah, we're better off setting velocities. So this can actually be to extend. We need a positive velocity. So set velocity. Set and move. That's distance. Set velocity. Positive. I don't know. 0.5 for the minute. Elevator piston. Elevator piston. Set velocity negative 0.5. Confirm. This one, same thing. Set velocity 0. Right, so we should be able to go down, up, and stop. Down. Up. Yeah, of course. Right. Of course it didn't work because this is in the way. Hopefully we won't need it anymore unless we fall off and then we have to do the whole thing manually. Oh, that's going to get in the way, isn't it? Let's see if it does. It'll avoid it, I think. Let's hope it stops when we get to the bottom. We don't just keep hearing this piston whirring. Well, it didn't, but we can stop it anyway. Right. Okay. It works. It's not detecting the ground, but that's possibly because it is a connected grid. Oh! Oh, I guess we've welded that up now. Let's get these bits on. I heard something weird, but I think it's just this thing grumbling with the ground a bit. It's a little bit grumbly. We're going to do something kind of like that. Of course, because I used up all my steel plate on that plate there. Yeah, you're complaining because you're in contact with the ground. I know. It needs a roof. So I'm going to need to get some sort of access to above. So I can start putting some sort of roof on this thing. To be honest, with its size, I think we can just go with like a really big normal blocks like this. Maybe we go halves, just so we got a bit more room. That's horrible. I know. It's hating every second of it. It's gonna break. It's just gonna break. That'll do. Right. Better. Oh yeah, these sensors really do need to start actually working. But I think it is literally because of what it's on. So I don't want to limit the piston to just like the height of the space of the ship, because what if we have to like use the elevator in a space where it's not so clever, you know? Right. That was rubbish. There we go. That's because that was in the way. Right. One thing about small grid is it's quick to weld, at least. There we go. Not much going on with that, but at least now we're able to actually get in and out. I need steel plates. Let's weld up some ground before we call it a day. Okay, so that's our elevator. Sort of. I'm sure it'll work properly when this is not there. And it's all not connected to the ground. Let's make sure this is supposed to be detecting all grid sizes. Detect small ships. Oh, okay, of course. That's why. Stations, subgrids, asteroids. Asteroids, planets. They're the same thing, essentially. Floating objects, all of that.
Energy low.
Let's go up. Let's go down. See if it stops itself. It worked. It went down with a bit of a clunk, but it didn't go through the ground. Nice, okay. Good. And we've got doors that open and close. This is all great. These bits kind of need to be refined a little bit, but quite happy for them to stay as they are. Maybe we can put something at the back of that, but we'll work this out in a moment. I do need energy, but I've got enough time to just quickly do that. And then build across. Ooh. Right, so that's our elevator space to get in and out. It's tight, but it works. We can basically put some sort of hangar door block on underneath that to make it a bit more practical. So we can seal up the space, but we've now got our way of connecting, our way of getting in and out. It works. That's all I can say. It just works. We can make all this a bit prettier at some point in the near future, but we've got the mechanics done. Right, okay, this is, I think, a really good place to leave this. I don't think we need a review of all of that. For those of you that skipped to the end, well, tough. You're not going to know what we just did or why. Go and actually watch the video properly. For those of you that stuck around, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful week, weekend, all the things that are going to come before I see you again. And thank you very much. Bye for now.